Guys, welcome to Virtua Vibes. Pierre, man, we got a special guest today. We got the Godfather. We got Big Cheese.
Trying to keep him out for months, but he's wormed his way in.
We got J Master J in the house.
Okay, J Master J.
Jawad Ashraf. Man, we've been trying to get this guy to come in for how long now? Months.
Like minutes.
Well, I think we're on
Every time I ask him, we're
episode
busy.
12 or 13, aren't we?
Every time I ask him, no, we're busy this week. We're interviewing.
No. You.
It's such a lie.
Pierre, man, hasn't he been busy all the time?
Yeah, but I'm always busy.
And the only time he came in was he
pin him down.
He stormed in when we were talking with J Crypto. Remember that?
That's right.
And
Stormed in, took over.
Yes.
Yeah. Gave us abuse about how bad we were at this. Yeah. I remember that.
And we still haven't streamed that one, have we? So as a result, the information in that is so hopelessly out of date. It's actually funny.
Pierre, I'm just leave that to you, man.
It's like
all I would say is,
they're announcing a brand.
no, it's coming.
Like in that J Crypto one, we were announcing the brand. We announcing we got a new Virtua logo.
All I would say is we had to because you guys messed me around last week. We were supposed to do this last week. We've had
Friday.
to reshuffle a bit.
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday.
Yeah.
There is a reason. There is a reason that we haven't put that one out yet, but I can't exactly remember what it is. But there's a valid reason.
So how you doing, man?
You're getting a sunbed installed or something like that.
A tanning bed. Yeah, that's what.
That's what Anu was telling.
That's what Anu told me.
That's what Anu was telling everyone.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do that because Jawad was getting a tanning bed installed.
He actually told me, and I said, I believed him. I mean, Jawad, right? I mean, yeah, sure. What a tanning bed. And that night, after our event,
Yes.
I asked you, and you said, no. What?
The Algorand event.
Yeah, at the agro event. So Pierre, man, what's there behind you? What is that? There's a whole planet waiting to be discovered.
Pillaged, it says. Yeah,
As you know,
super professional.
I
He knows how to
As you know, I like to take things to the next level. And I take things to the next level. I brought set design this week, set design. So none of your fancy studio stuff. I make my own luck over here in the UK.
Sure. You made that up. Okay.
Did you paint that by hand?
Yeah.
It's actually leftovers. It's leftovers from the Cardano event the other week.
Yeah, it doesn't have the Virtual Island on it.
It does.
Yeah. Cool.
No, this. Oh, you're testing him out, is that what you're doing? Okay.
Cardano Island here, just in case you didn't know.
And you know the island just above Virtual Island to the left? What's the name of that island?
This one here.
That one there, yeah.
Pierre's sweating a bit, I can see.
That one there.
Yeah, that one.
That is a special degen island.
Is it?
Which I'm not going to reveal the name because I don't want to spoil it for people.
Okay,
Yeah. Does not sound like that you're just making this up at all.
Yeah. That's not Sports Island.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sports Island. How does it feel, man, be in the studio?
It's good to be in the studio.
Good to be in the studio.
It's always good to be around you. And for the record, Parves has not watched a single Virtua Vibes. He comes across as all smooth, but the second you take him off the air, he's like, I can't watch me.
He sounds like Chantel with a cold when he's off air.
But by the way, Pierre's the same as well. Now he started watching everything because he has to review the whole thing. But previously he did not. He did not.
Yeah, did you feel really bad about the first few episodes when you saw them?
No, I thought we looked awesome, but I wanted to tighten up the review process, so I started watching them a bit more as well.
Yeah,
and I think I come off excellently compared to Parves.
I got some feedback regarding the Nabil and Asad one. People like that quite a bit. You saw that on
I saw that,
in social as well, right? Yeah. They actually like this vibing with the guys.
Yeah, no, they look cool, and the photo they used was really cool. My personal favorite was the one that it looked like Pierre had ascended. You know, he was surrounded by a white halo.
What is that?
No, there was one of Virtua Vibes, and he's literally surrounded by white everywhere, and he was wearing his black t-shirt looking really dapper.
I wouldn't know. You
wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know.
Pierre looked especially good that week. He was makeup for the week before. You really liked him.
I remember the one I did in the studio, though, when I was there. I wasn't feeling great that day.
No, Pierre always thought that his voice was a bit feminine because of his mic setup. Then he came to the studio and realized it wasn't the mic. It was his voice.
It's the whole testosterone level thing. That's
just for the record, I never used the word feminine. That was you just putting that in there. Just want to say that.
Is that me? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, man, Jay, So, what we do in the show is we talk about.
I love your show.
Yeah, so you watch the show, right? We talk about the person, behind the role.
You've done that for everyone but Ed. In that case, you didn't.
But Ed, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why though. We were given a mandate by the CEO to tone down the language.
You just forgot about the format. That happened at the same time.
Actually, yeah, we were a bit strict with Ed. Yeah. And it's funny, right? Ed's the most funniest guy.
Ed's hilarious. Frankly, I think it's because Parves used to work for Ed in an earlier life, and I just think it was like a passive-aggressive hate thing that you did. Yeah, and you're systematically just trying to make up for it.
I know, right?
It's because he refused to recruit you twice.
Should we bring that up now? I mean, I don't think so, right?
Let's not talk about it.
But I thought the Ed one was one of the better ones.
In terms of information.
Yeah.
In terms of information, content, right? It was probably the best one. I absolutely loved it. In terms of entertainment value, yeah.
Man, this guy is so demanding. He wants everything.
Why not?
Content, information, and then entertainment. Make me laugh while teaching me.
Yes, exactly. That's how we work it. That's how we work in Virtua.
Dude, did you get some good info on Jawad before we dive in? Because that's your part of the job, by the way.
Yeah, no, lots of people came to me, asked for stories. I gave them nothing.
Let me say this to you.
Okay.
I think it's fair to say during the filming of Vibes over the last few months, I've got a new reputation as like a dogged reporter. Without, I will not stop till I get the information that I need when it comes to the research that I get.
The Trumpton Gazette.
I asked around. I said, "Look, guys, I need some stories. I need some stories about Jawad for Vibes." Everybody came at me. I had a flood of stories coming at me.
Nice,
and I went,
awesome.
Sorry, I said, "Hang on." I said, "Guys, I wasn't clear. I need stories that are broadcastable." I got nothing.
Oh no, we would dwindle down to how many now? How many points? 1 point? Can we use at least one?
I've got one. Yeah, that's all I've got.
Yeah, people came to me. Pierre's asking. Do you have any
Oh my God! Yeah. They all report. Jeez.
Did they?
Can't trust anyone, can we, man?
Happens every week. Every week you ask anyone for any story, it always goes up the grapevine. Pierre's asking.
Jeez. By the way, after this episode, the Nabil one came out, Azimi sent me pictures of the bakery.
Of the bakery, no, we really just...
And that lady.
Yeah, but...
Really?
Yeah, but he's read something into that wasn't actually there. I did a deep dive into the whole bakery and Nabil thing. Nah, he was actually running their motorcycle club, but he wasn't actually dating anyone there. He never proposed to anyone or wanted to get married. So he did actually, though, like the cake. I watched that Virtua Vibes. I was straight on the phone. I was telling me about it.
Really?
I wanted to know. I needed to know what was going on. It was an important work thing. Nabil was just grateful I wasn't asking him about the crib of it. He was just happy. I can't tell you anything you want to know.
Spilt the beans.
So Jay.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to ask you, right? No. You've talked a lot about the company. About Virtua, so everyone knows Virtua, how it started, etc., etc. One thing that no one knows about is your work ethic, or I don't know, your ability to multitask. And that's one thing. I know you for now 8 years, right? How the hell do you keep doing like 10,000 things at once and all of them equally well? I'm not saying just work alone, right? You watch your shows, you read books, Netflix, play games, take your family out, do your other stuff, do work, multiple things in parallel. How do you do it, man?
You're a hater. That's all I gotta say.
I am actually.
Thing is, I've been doing since I was 24. I mean, basically, I worked for 2 years, right? So I first went into a...
so let's go back.
So graduated.
Okay.
I graduated, and the funny thing is that, and it was at a time when you just couldn't find a job as a graduate. And I still remember,
did you have a technology degree?
Yeah, computer science degree, and working on it, and graduated, but at that time there were no jobs. And I remember I applied for 100 places. And then an envelope came through the door at my student digs, and it was from my mum. She was going, I was cutting your dad's hair and there was a computer job. I'm not quite sure what it was, but I cut it out of the newspaper and I sent it to you. And that was my first ever job.
Oh, wow.
Right? I worked in
cool.
CSL labs in math and worked in the computer science department. And I started working on development when Microsoft Access came out. And then basically the idea was that I would become a computer contractor after a period of 10 years and really learn my way around, how to do stuff. And that was the pinnacle of where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
And so I'm 24 and I apply for a job and I get a job at Thomas Cook, right? and then I was, okay, I'm going to move to Thomas Cook. And they were like, well, we don't want to replace you. We'd like to get a contractor in who can quickly finish a project. And I interviewed like 60 people.
Wow.
And as I'm interviewing them, I thought, these guys aren't as good as what I'm doing. 24-year-old arrogance. And
I see it still continues him now.
That's now I can say I'm just arrogant. But so what happened was that go for the guy the job, and then I phoned his boss. And I said, this guy is coming to you. He's a contractor. He's at this level. I know I'm only 24, but I can do what he can do, but better. Let me come and work for you for 2 weeks, right? And then if you don't like it, don't pay me. So I went, did it for 2 weeks, and he put me into a job. And I basically went into a contractor role that I would have been in my 30s at 24. And then that was like a private contract. And ever since then, I've been always doing stuff like that, like contractor roles. And then after a few years of that, I got bored and set up my first company. And I remember Ash was at uni, and he was like, I'm coming out of uni and I'm going to work with you. That was always an aspiration. And he came out of uni and said, I'm not going to work with you until you go and work at a company for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
You've got to work for 2 years before I'm going to let you work with me. So Ash, he just went and worked for Hitachi EDS, really hating every second of it. And on the anniversary of those 2 years, he just quit and said, okay, come on, let's go work.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So our first company was importing cars from Japan.
What?
That's what we did. There was a price difference between UK and Japan in terms of grey market. And in Japan, you could only buy a new car if the police basically measured the space and you got rid of your old car. So cars were at massively cheap prices in Japan, in Tokyo. So we created a website that would allow you to spec the cars. And then we used to fly to Tokyo and buy 100 cars at auction. And it was bidding like with little joysticks and stuff like that. And bring them over to the UK. So that was the first ever technology company. And that was after I'd contracted for years.
Is this where the special story comes in Japan?
Yes, which we can't talk about.
Are we allowed to talk about that story?
We can't talk about the Yakuza, can we? No, we can't do that here.
But is this during the same time that you were also working on the kidnapping profile?
Oh yeah. Because that was actually so when I moved on to the next company, basically I was working in kidnap and ransom and anti-terrorism. So if you actually want to set up a really well-operated kidnap and ransom gang, we can do this. It'll take a few weeks to get it.
Pierre, you interested, man?
Look, we're in a big market.
I could use a few extra quid, to be honest with you. So why not?
Yeah, we can kidnap you into Dubai, man.
No, but because Lloyd's of London insured people against it, and there's a shocking amount that still actually happens, which is very under the radar. And people have insurances against being kidnapped. And honestly, we had to deal with the kidnappers and do the hostage negotiation and stuff like that back in the day. And then I worked in anti-terrorism, which was related to bomb blast attacks, because it used to have a Semtex explosives in a van, and they used to do that St. Mary's Axe bombing. And so I worked at the Ministry of Defence, and we created simulation of bomb blasts. This was all when I was freelancing and building my own projects. And that was where I started. Then I did electricity. I did all the boring stuff. But every time it was in an area which needed innovation. That's what was really interesting about Virtua, that it was like a combination of 3 areas of innovation. It was VR, and it was blockchain, and it was metaverse. But before that, I moved into mobile. Before people moved into mobile, I created the first CRM system before Salesforce stopped working in a web browser and sold that out. So always it was what's next. And that's been the fun part of what I do, because I remember from the beginning, creating anything was like solving puzzles and getting paid for it.
So are you like a technological Rain Man? Is that what you're saying?
One focused on ROI and making money. Basically, that's always been like, how can I build this, but how can I make cash out of it? And that's why, like 20 years ago was the first time I set up like an offshore company. It was actually, I was working on contract for Lloyd's of London, and I just saw they started to bring in people from abroad. It's just such a new thing. Now it's everywhere. It's prevalent, right? All over the world. And I thought, as a contractor, my rates are going to become marginalized. So why don't I
Got
go
it.
and set something up there before I become marginalized? And actually, the contractor rates are similar to what they were like 15 years ago because that happened.
Yeah.
But then I remember went there and set it up, and like the guy who's at the desk there now running the office in Virtua, he was there in the second week that I was there 20 years
Wow.
ago. He's been working for me for 20 years.
Is this the guy we talked about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool.
He's a cool guy.
Oh.
He's been there for a long time.
So you still haven't answered the question though.
Well, no, it's all because of that. It's because I've been doing it for so long. So
you know how to manage your time better.
yeah, I know how to manage my time better, and you've got to get work-life balance right. I mean, I it's funny.
Is it true though? Is there something called work-life balance?
Yeah, no, there is. You have to find a period of time where you switch your brain off, or you're just going to burn yourself out. I mean, I constantly have this conversation, even with Ash. It's like, it's the weekend, and it is really important. And he'll be pinging me at like 2:00 in the morning. I'm just go away, just go away. I'm not going to engage with you
Pierre, can we do that to Ash? Just go away.
No, I mean,
Let's try it.
At the end of the day.
You try it first.
If I shall remain, then you can do it.
No, the thing is, with Ash, when he decides to pull a face, he just looks like, it's just like, I was trying to tell a joke. So he was here the other week, and I'm trying to tell a joke to some of the people here. And Ash just wasn't engaging the joke, and he was looking at them like this. Looking over my shoulders if he wanted to murder them. He just a complete buzzkill at times.
Okay. So, dude, Pierre, can we say the Tokyo story? I don't know what that is.
No, we can't say that.
We can't.
Well, but yeah, no, we had some very, very, very interesting times.
Okay.
And it's related to the whole kidnap and ransom thing.
Okay. So we can't go into details.
But we had really good links in what we've done in the past, so it would make it hard for someone to kidnap and ransom it.
Okay. So talking about this company, right? Again, this seems to be an extension of your, interest in technology and being at the forefront of new things.
I was chatting to my mum about this the other day. She's like, the stuff I told you about when you were a kid, she goes, I told you not to read comics, not to play video games, and not to waste all your time. And I said, guess what? Why would you say that?
Just this.
Yeah, she just flew out at the weekend to go to a wedding. She was staying with me for a couple of months, but she said it's so ironic. Yeah. The stuff that you enjoy. So what we're doing in Virtua is what I enjoy the most.
Okay. What was your first NFT that you purchased?
It was there was a company that were doing I think it's Crypto Motors or one of them. So there was a company that was actually doing these cars, and I remember being in Korea in 2018, and they were making these high fidelity cars that were NFTs, and they were talking about having a racing game and even using the petrol as a token that would drain. I mean, honestly, back in 2018, some of the stuff you heard from people was crazy. I mean, I remember that I went and spoke to one guy and he was like, what are you doing? And he was, I'm building an island full of containers in the ocean, and it's going to be a separate crypto island, and we're going to run a cryptocurrency. I laughed my ass off and said, no, what are you really doing? And it turned out it was full of ideas like that. But like this guy, he had this car thing, and it was a beautiful concept. And it sort of withered on the vein, as a lot of projects did between 2018 and 2020. But it was an NFT based around that. And even then it was like, putting in a wallet was clunky and transferring and holding it was. But it's really cool as a concept. And it's high fidelity. It was really cool.
Oh, very nice. You still have it? You don't know probably, right? In a wallet somewhere.
I get sent NFTs all the time. So,
yeah.
And half the time I don't know where
that's true. You get sent stuff all the time. Well, you have a lot of fanboys, a lot of fans. I've seen people follow you in all the conferences over here. How does it feel like a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, you were at all the conferences, trying to talk to people, and now the other opposite is happening. People come to you all the time for partnerships. Hey, let's catch a coffee. Let's do this. Let's do that. It happens all the time now.
It does, yeah. But like, we still remember 2018 chasing everyone to an elevator. I remember Ash hanging around the elevator because this guy from this fund was coming this way and doing everything, and how painful it was.
Yeah.
So now, no matter who it is, I will always, even if it's never going to benefit us, and it's never going to be useful, and we can never do partnership, I'll give them time and have that conversation. And even if I can point them in the right direction, I will, because I remember what it was like to be that guy.
Yeah, very nice, man.
So
Pierre, we know we've talked to, I think, a few Jawad people who's come our way.
No, a few times I've pushed them across, but Like,
No, but we read it. We actually vet them.
Yes,
we actually vet them.
Yeah.
But 90% of the time, I feel them. I mean, I've even got stuff happening this week, and it's going to be pointless for us.
Yeah.
And sometimes actually, it can be soul destroying having to listen to it. But at least we can offer good advice.
Yeah.
Don't try to come in as an unknown to try to do this particular project. It's not going to work. We can offer some pearls anyway, because now we have that.
Here's a question for you. Given the success you've had, and I know you've got numerous interests all in various different fields, does it feel like work for you?
You know what, Virtua, when we started off, we had a small kernel, and these were people I really, really like, and I love working with. And even Parves, I mean, Pierre, you've come in, and we've, the way that we work, the dynamic's great, and it's really good. Parves, I worked for a long time. I mean, literally, when you're here, the people I work with are so cool, and they're so fun, and I enjoy working with every single one of them. And then on top of that, the subject is really interesting and engaging, and we're innovating, we're doing something new. So it's so much fun, and it's so exciting. I just wish we didn't have to think about Series A and burn rates. Those are the things that...
Bear market.
They're the things that keep me up.
Yeah.
Not keep me up at night, but they're the things that I worry about. So we're in the process of doing a Series A, and the market's like a bear market, but like what we always do is build. I would love to not have to think about any of those commercials, and then it would be an unfettered joy. As it is, that's the only thing that puts me back on the ground. Okay, I need to think about this, this, and this while we do this.
Yeah. Because you're primarily, at heart, a builder.
Yeah, no, that's what I love. I love building it, but like the thing is that, I always say to the team, we're not cutting edge, we're bleeding edge. Yeah. So we're constantly getting cuts, right? And we're constantly doing something that nobody's done before. So when we say how long is something going to take, and we're talking to the tech team, it's like they give us an estimate, but it's not even like they've got a point of reference because no one's done it. It's very much like what we did last time, like when we Parves was with me. The last exit that I did was from a company called The Entertainer in the UAE, and Parves was product. And it was leading product. And often the stuff we were doing, people hadn't done before. Yeah. But there was some points of reference. I mean, if you are scared, it was Airbnb is exactly what The Entertainer app was. But what we're doing here is so far away from the traditional that it's very, very different. And one thing that is useful is because I come from a tech background, what traditionally happens is the tech team will get beaten up by everybody else in the business. And here it's more of a balanced, it's going, in fact, it went the other way. Now it's completely balanced. Tech would just say what they want. Say, hang on a minute. There's got to be some balance in this. But now it's quite...
It's true though. It's true though.
Most companies, tech always get beaten up. And it's through the company not understanding what they've got to go through. And then when they push them the wrong way, they'll end up getting a shitty product. Whereas we now got the balance because I've done tech.
Correct. And not only that, also in the other companies, right? There's always a reference point. Like in Ed's case, he could bash the tech team saying, but Airbnb has done it. Right? Yeah. So, this example.
Yeah, whereas, exactly, they've done it before. And I'd love that reference point. But here there is none. So much of the stuff, like the way that the dynamic maps work in WebGL and the way you can zoom in, even those are implemented in WebGL. No one's done it before. Yeah. The way the underlying stuff works. And what people don't understand is that it's very easy to get to an MVP of a basic product, right? But when you need that 3D model, let's say, 3D model, everyone's got a 3D model, working simultaneously on a mobile application and in WebGL and in Unreal and in Unity, at the same, and in AR, and it has to be the same model because you don't want to re-implement it 5 times. All of a sudden, everything gets trickier because when you do anything, that's just an example, but when you do anything, there are 5 touch points that need to be taken in consideration. So, I got a cool idea, I want to add this feature, and then the business would normally say, well, that should only
be one feature.
It's only one feature, but you've got to make sure that feature works across 4 touch points without breaking everything else. And that's one of the things because now we have Anissa over here who's running the technology for us and, referencing back to me, but I was running the tech all the time. Now I'm incredibly connected to the tech, but I couldn't do both. I couldn't operate as a CEO and do all the tech and be on top of everything to my satisfaction. And that's why I've got a good right-hand man now.
So talking about innovation, right? Did you envision a couple of years ago, or even last year, that we would be at this stage today selling land online?
6 months too late. A year ago, in my head, I wanted to be here 6 months ago. we're doing this. Everything in my mind is later than I'd want it to be. In this market, let's face it, this year nothing's happened for anyone, so it hasn't mattered that much. But ideally, I'd have liked to have more of the stuff finished. Yeah. But we had to do so many iterations, especially with the WebGL stuff. And you've seen the end effect. It's fantastic. Course, yeah. It's really, really lovely. But yeah, where I am, I think it's great we're here. But this is with the CEO hat on. We should have been there 6 months ago. That's how I feel in terms of the tech.
Okay.
But that's wishful thinking.
So,
go ahead, Pierre. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like we're getting into some dev updates here, guys. Let's forget about work for a second. Let's get into Jawad. Let's understand the man, the myth that is Jawad. We want some stories, man. Give us some stories. Tell us about you. And I don't want to hear the shark story.
So that's
no shark story. We know about the shark story. We need other stories, please.
Something that no one has actually gleaned out of you. I saw some pictures from Jawad where he looks like a young Salman Khan, but you wouldn't know Salman Khan, so there's no point of reference.
What?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's an interesting story. That's when Ash and I decided to go into the northern provinces between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and it was super dodgy. So what we did, we loaded up a 4x4 full of carpets and pretended we were Afghan carpet salesmen.
What?
While driving around.
Why would you do this?
Because it's less chance of getting shot, right? If you were like dressed as locals.
That's a good reason.
Yeah. If you were dressed as locals and a car full of carpets, and when you were stopped there, would you like to buy it?
I don't even.
Yeah, so we did that.
I mean, if actually someone stopped you, how would you even it's a free carpet.
Yeah. Speak the language. Yeah. No, it's like, do you want to buy a carpet? And there were military checkpoints.
Oh my God.
And it was really gorgeous, beautiful. I mean, we sort of went up this. The water was so beautiful you could drink it all the way. It was, we had a lot of fun doing that. So that's an interesting one. So Afghani carpet salesman. I used to motorcycle.
You used to motorcycle?
Yeah. But I crashed and was thrown 20 meters off the motorbike. Okay. And after that, I never motorcycled again. I mean, just thinking what other stories are even vaguely interesting. I mean, that's just like a couple of
Pierre,
very random.
Does that pass the Virtua Vibe barometer?
No, I don't think it does.
I don't think so, does it?
We need something more comedy.
We can't talk.
We need something scandalous or something that is much more spicier.
I'll tell you the only story I have got. I know you.
He always has something.
He won't have much, I'm sure.
I know that you. I can't believe they came to you. I have to say, I think that's pathetic. They've come to you.
But every time you go to anyone, everyone knows that you've gone to them. It becomes a talking point throughout the company. You don't know that. When you've gone to Azimi and asked...
I'm like an undercover reporter. How
you went to Azimi and then he says, what can I tell them about Nabil? And you go to...
Oh my God, Azimi.
Everyone talks to everyone. We're all friends.
I've got to find a new way of doing this. But the one story I did get from Azimi was I know that you are, you do your you fitness training every morning, I think, pretty much, right? On top of all the work you fit in some fitness training.
Yeah, you can't really tell, but there you go.
And you have a personal trainer, right?
Yes, yeah.
Does he give you special drinks to have and stuff like that, like health juices and stuff?
Soha is over the screen, and she gives me this disgusting green juice like twice a day.
Right, this is what I've heard about.
Absolutely vile. Right, and she gives it to me with a smile on her face, which I just...
Yeah, dude. Do you know that Jawad actually...
Everyone tries to give me food.
During those... Yeah.
On those days, everyone's trying to feed me because I'm in a terrible mood because I'm being fed green juice.
Yeah.
I know. We know when you're juicing. We know when you're juicing to stay away from you. But that's for sure.
We talk. We say Jawad's and juices, so expect this meeting to go bad.
South.
Yeah. That happens.
And on the note.
Anyway, let me finish my bit of goss, right? Yeah. So my understanding is from one of my secret unknown sources that won't be revealed. No, not Marco. Okay. But apparently when you go to Pakistan and he gives you loads of green juices to have while you're there.
Yes.
What I'm hearing is word on the street is you tip those down the sink, stuff your face with Desi food, which I think is
Desi food,
and bring the bottles back.
This is why.
No, that's categorically untrue. It's a lie. I normally forget the bottles.
Marco, are you listening to this?
No,
because
I normally forget the bottles. I lose the bottles, but the rest happens. But the food, again, so standing there just shaking your head at me.
I to be honest, man, I haven't seen you
lose weight.
I think everyone's seen that.
Can I make a request though?
Yes.
Can I just make a request? Please do not juice this week. Let's get through this week without juicing.
Yeah, I think this week.
I just started today.
Oh no,
Yes.
dude.
I did.
I think we need to put the meetings earlier because that's when it's better. His blood sugar isn't that horrible at that time.
Yeah, no. I've only had one green juice today, and it's 2 p.m.
See, no meetings in the afternoon, Pierre. Okay, especially with your team.
I'm going to get up extra early for meetings this week.
No. But I do tend to find. I mean, like this week is going to be a rough. There's a lot to do this week.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to be under pressure. So yeah, I will eat something if I find myself.
So can you just put some ghee or some stuff into his drinks as well, so we're all safe?
What?
Well, Pierre, do you know the story, man? I don't know if you've actually talked about this story where Jawad. Maybe we have. I can't remember. Jawad, while at the Entertainer, the previous company, he left his juices.
Oh. Okay.
No, I've not heard this one.
So you need to hear this. So I had this fermented juice, okay? And the idea was that I was going to drink it. But then it was on my desk and it's freshly made. And I left it. And then I went to Lahore for 2 weeks. It continued to ferment and ferment and ferment. And then it exploded.
No, but we should tell who's sitting right over there. There's a guy named Asif who's sitting right over there. And
very mild-mannered, unassuming.
He's a character.
Yeah.
So his nickname was the Professor because every time he opened his mouth, it would be to teach you something. No, Pierre. Let me explain to you how it actually works. So
my relationship was quite different.
Oh, so that guy's sort of similar to me, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's Midnight Pierre, Professor Pierre, if you know what I mean. Anyway,
Okay.
so
in his Wader boots, his Wellingtons, and his scuba outfit.
So he was sitting right over there, and then boom, it exploded, and we heard across the 2 rooms or whatever it's called, like across the floors.
It was a bomb. It was covered in this stuff, and it smelled like vomit, and looked like vomit. And it was just soaked in it. The stench was appalling, and I was in the hall.
Yeah.
Then they sent me the CCTV.
And that was amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah, because you could see in slow motion.
Was it one of those sort of comedy things where at the end he's going?
Yeah, it's just
simultaneously sniffing.
Hey, what is this?
Oh, I love it.
I'll say we love you.
It's hilarious though. So there you go.
Awesome.
I think that passes the test. No one knows.
Yeah, that's a good story.
That's an okay story.
Yeah, we all knew though.
That was a hilarious one.
Yeah. But let's go to hard questions. Pierre, do you want to talk more about Jawad or work? Tell me, man. What more do you want to know?
Let's have some work stuff. This is going out on Thursday.
Maybe we should talk about Jawad
this week. So we can talk about some work stuff.
Quick thing about Jawad and his comic collection. Maybe you have a lot. Comic collection, not as much as Anoop though.
It's true. It's true. I mean, the big difference between Anoop and me is I love comics. I've been reading them since I was 6. Anoop's been collecting them since I was 6.
Big difference.
So mine are sort of like in the shed, in the loft, in the shed in our old house in the UK. You know, like I still remember that one of the first times Anoop ever came to my house, there's like a comic called The Dark Knight, which is a massive collector's comic. And it was autographed by Frank Miller in Varney. It was my doorstop. And he walked in and he looked at it and he went, I actually thought he was going to have a heart attack. I was like, just have it. Because I read them, I love the stories, and I still remember, like, you know, when I was a little kid, there was a stack of comics at our local newsagent, and I could only maybe afford 2 of them a month. We didn't grow up very well off at all. And so I always used to go in and agonize over which 2 to buy. And over the years, as I went to college and everything else, I could buy more. But I remember the first day that I got paid my first paycheck from my first job as a graduate, I went to Forbidden Planet in London and I bought one of everything.
Wow, okay.
One of every single comic. And I think I've got that stack on my shelf here and there.
So nice.
But yeah, I bought most of my collection. It's all on my wall. You've seen it in the way.
Yeah.
So I've got basement room all spray painted with graffiti artists, paint superheroes.
Oh man, that's so cool. Yeah. You've seen that, Pierre? You have, right? The graffiti and the spray paint.
I have. I in fact popped up the other day actually in some pictures of when we were over in when my family was over in April, and I got some very cool pictures of my kids sitting down with Iron Man in your basement.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, what was really cool is it was like these Dubai urban artists who do graffiti.
Yeah.
And they did all the graffiti on
Man, it looks amazing.
They're just beautiful.
It looks amazing.
Beautiful characters.
By the way, Pierre, we need to have Jawad talk to Anoop to come on the show. Anoop is not coming to the show. He's saying nope.
He won't come on.
No, I'll have a conversation.
No. I mean, like Donna was a no, and then finally she said yes. Anoop was like a hard no.
No. I'll twist his arm.
Okay, cool. So let's jump into work, man. Let's jump into work.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I have a hard question. Oh, you goes first.
You go. No, go ahead. You go.
Dude, we could go many ways from that, but you're the one who said
It's like saying my hump. It sparks to something, but you've got no idea what. And what's a trunk anyway? It's like it just sounds controversial, right? Okay.
No, you.
Wait on.
Go ahead.
You were going to say something. Were you going to ask?
I've lost the train of thought.
Were you going to ask about a land sale and what are the benefits of our land plots and how are they different to other projects?
It's funny that's the direction I was going. Yes.
But you know what? I want to ask something before that.
God.
Why should people care? You know why? Why should people care about the land sale? Like you yourself said, we are 6 months late.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so why should they care about our land sale, right? We've already done Cardano land sales. We have Monster Zone coming up, but why would people fork out hard-earned money to buy some land? And why is it interesting for them?
Yeah, that's always a good question. And you know what? You sort of get asked a similar question when you talk to VCs, right? They say, how is your metaverse different to any other metaverse? What's USP? Well, the one thing that I really liked about the way that Yuga Labs did it was that they gamified their land. Now, right now, when you have a metaverse, a lot of them are just based around speculation and a lot of promises. Now, the nice thing is we've got the crib event happening. We're ramping up a beta this week. So that's, again, like an alpha. So we've got the beta going out. And we were going to do the crib event this week, but we're taking all of the feedback from the first beta cycle. We've incorporated tons of it. And now we're ramping up our beta this week. And so now we've got actually the product behind the metaverse. So that's the first thing. They should care because it's got a high fidelity environment that works in a web browser, which nobody has. Right, blocky, whatever that other people have. So that's the first thing. But the other thing is that we've thought about our metaverse as a living, breathing, expanded universe. So it has multiple zones, okay, that are doing other things. But fundamentally, the land that we have all generates resources. Now, those resources will then also allow you to craft items for your spaces, but feed the economy where you can make money off the back of it. So you can craft NFTs that you can sell. You can craft NFTs you can rent. You can craft NFTs that can be used in quests. So, for example, let's just say that there's a deep sea quest, right? And it requires a hovercraft and your land bots, a miner bot. Now, how do you get a hovercraft? There is nothing anywhere. Well, it's only something that we crafted by landowners who got resource, who've traded the resource to use them for land. So the whole idea is that once they've done that, and let's say somebody's crafted 20 hovercrafts and you've got them in their spaces, they can rent them or they can sell them, and then you need one of those for a quest. So now all of a sudden the gamification part and the gaming part is now tethered to the resources that you generate from the land. So the land is more than idle speculation. It acts as a hub for different things. Now, one of the things that we haven't spoken about enough, but one of the key USPs of Virtua is, first and foremost, it's a gaming metaverse. Right? It's a gaming metaverse, and this is what makes us very different. We are wall-to-walls games. That's in our DNA. Gary, Doug, Keith, myself, lots of people in our team, the big immersive team, Azimi, we're all built games. And we've all built tech. So what we're doing in Virtua is that we are using the whole game thing. Like gaming has made $184 billion last year alone. And that's more than Hollywood and the music combined. And so when you have a metaverse, what do you really need more than anything? Yeah, so fine, you've got the land and you've got resources and everything else. But then it would only be one thing. The intention of us is to bring users into our metaverse. You can't have 100 DAUs, you can't have 1,000 DAUs. You've got to build experiences, you've got to bring people in, and people come in to play games. Look at Nike Land in Roblox. 21 million users, based on 200 million user base. But effectively, they came in to play mini games. So now what we're doing is that, we're working on the stainless game. We're working on, you've seen the Jetman game. We're going to be doing hackathons early next year that will allow multiple games to be tethered to our zone. So the Monster Zone will have its own game, right? So that hasn't been announced yet, but it will. And even
Alpha.
Even the Goliath, you've seen them, beautiful, right?
Yeah.
It's based around one of the games that we produced in our studio before we made Virtua, which was a full VR and AR game. So in the Monster Zone, it'll be tethered with a benchmark game that we'll make. That will come. But also, we're going to encourage multiple games providers to build games. The way that Virtua, I see it, is it's like a metaverse OS. We're building our world, we're doing all these cool things, but we want games developers to build on top of our world. We'll tether them with TVK, utility, resources, and an in-game and in-world currency. And then basically, we'll bring them into our land. And what we want to do is also have, as well as Web3, Web2. We're having conversation with Web2 gaming publishers and games teams who normally are scared, scare the bejesus out and that, oh my God, it's NFTs and it's metaverse and we don't want to do that. There's inertia. It's a persistent game. It's persistent virtual gaming world. And you do DLCs. Come to Virtua. So we'll have Web2 games plugged in. We'll have Web3 games plugged in, which is metaverse and NFTs. And the Web2 games can move over to Web3. But the idea here is bring Web2 games in, bring in Web3 games in, have DLCs, have NFTs. And why will we do that in our world? It's going to allow landowners to go ahead and tether games experiences to their lands and also provide resources that will feed the games and other people to come into the universe to do quests.
Yeah.
And we will use all of this to bring in users. And if you want to be a participant in a metaverse with land, the only thing you should care about is, are people going to use it in the long term?
Yeah.
And that's a long answer to a short question is, that's why we're different.
Yeah.
Because we're not just thinking about landowners, not thinking about providing value, about providing them more usage for the things they can provide and monetize over and above just having land sales and monetize from having revenue sales and NFTs they'll create. So Monster Zone, the landowners will get revenue share from the breeding facility that you've got over there, right?
Yeah.
So revenues, right? And ability to craft and participate in quests. But you'll also be working and living in a place where the company's committed to bringing in more users, which is through gaming to start with. And if we can bring in Web3 and Web2 gaming, that's our USP. Virtua is a metaverse OS. It's a gaming platform. We're a publisher for games in the metaverse. So rather just like the App Store, what is the App Store at the end of the day? The entire Apple
platform. Yeah.
It's a platform. You get your iPhone, you get your Mac, you get everything else, and it offers you all these cool features. But what are Apple predominantly doing? They're providing an ecosystem on top of which people will build on top of. We had a lot of experience in this. And here we're providing a metaverse, a land with a great narrative and gamification and everything else. But ultimately, if you abstract that, that's providing the foundation, the OS on top of where games builders will build it, which will then attract more users, which will allow us to do more interesting things in our metaverse. It will allow a Web2 game to, like, let's say, I don't know, so take Subway Surfers. You play the game, they've got in-app purchases, they've got adverts, and then they hit the wall on where they can monetize.
Yeah.
But now imagine if that community can have villas, and they can have cribs, and they can have a dome where they can see leaderboards, and they can see trophies, and where they can see replays, and where they can socialize. That's providing a whole layer of functionality and revenue to a Web2 games publisher. So come and do it in virtual. It could be a DGen project, like, on your T-shirt, and, unofficial print, which I handed him earlier. So, which I shouldn't have done. But what it means is that a DGen island, they can do the same thing. But in their case, they start off with the community and they start off with the social spaces, but then the games that come in, they can potentially piggyback onto the games to make their game, So that's our prime USP. And that really doesn't come across. I guess we haven't really put our stick in the sand and shouted about it enough, but it certainly is coming to stark focus when we're doing our Series A's. Because every conversation is, you're great, you're high fidelity, you're cross-platform, but how are you different? Well, this is why we're different, and this is what we're doing.
This is like great vision, right? Ambition as well. Do you think this is something as a company we could realize maybe next year or the year after?
We're going to be starting running, we're going to be doing hackathons across the world in different places where we're going to encourage people to come in and try to create small mini games that we can bring into our metaverse. We're running our first one in Lahore, hopefully in about March. And then we're going to run them every 3 months. We'll do them in different places. I want to have 100 games in Virtua at least by the end of next year. That's the goal.
Pierre, you heard that, man.
Look, that's how we're going to bring in users.
I like it.
People come in and they just do brand, like you go into another one, like you go to Decentraland, you'll do a brand activation, go around, you'll talk to your friends, you leave. And it's hardly any difference to being on Discord or whatever.
Yeah.
What's keeping you coming back? Engage through games. Engage through allowing those games to be deconstructed. Allow those games to be used with NFT projects. Make them part of cribs. Make them part of the world. Make them part of social. Then drive more and more users in that way to engage and re-engage. And then new economy things will come up. Somebody's got a racing game. Someone's going to start making tires as NFTs for the car. Have a football game. Have a tennis game. Oh, look, we've got head. All of a sudden, you've got head equipment that can be sold that can be used in the tennis game. For example, random example, but
not announced yet.
Not announced yet. No, just it's a random example.
Hey, this is the show for Alpha.
But let's just say, but that's the point, right? So now games and brands go hand in hand because it allows familiarity. And if we want to bring in Web 2 audiences and Web 3 audiences, those brands will allow us to create new gameplay experiences, which will bring in the mass market, which is coming to do that, play games in the metaverse, have an avatar. You can bring them in via stealth. While simultaneously you can do really cool stuff for the Web 3 audience in the same game. So you go as deep as you want to go, but then you don't go too deep if you don't want to. So, but we have to do both. We've got to address both markets for this metaverse to work. Because if you just talk about this audience and you've got this audience which you're not reaching, then it will fail. So we're like very commercially focused on this. I mean, this is what we've always done with businesses. Gary's built businesses, I built businesses. Yeah. And you've got to build that audience and you've got to build engagement and you've got to build re-engagement. The acquisition cost here for bringing in one person is this much, and then if you just let them walk out the door afterwards without giving them anything to do or earn, in Web3 that you can earn, it's decentralized, you've got ownership, you've got all of these cool features, and they will drive our metaverse and the future growth. But then if you're a Web2 and you can go in and say you can provide social, and you can provide this, and you can provide 3D environments, and you can provide these features and take them on the journey to Web3. And they don't have to. But like if you look at console games publishers and those audiences didn't really move to mobile, and the mobile audiences didn't really move anywhere else. They are in their own silos. And what we want to try to do is provide a path to allow people to move across. So that's sort of what we want to try to do.
You're right, though. There's one thing as a company, we need to put more out there in terms of the gamified metaverse. And this is what we're doing in terms of games. This is all about games, the USP.
Virtua is the gaming metaverse. That's what we are. That's why we're going to be different to every other metaverse out there. Yes, we got cool tech. Yes, we're across every platform in a way that no other metaverse is today. Yeah. We're ahead in terms of our tech. We have it working in VR. We have it working in augmented reality and mobile. We got it working in WebGL and high definition. Nobody's done all of those touch points. That's because we realize that everyone needs to be able to get onto the tech. Our focus was it should work on a $30 mobile phone. So some kid in a remote village in Kenya can access the metaverse as well as some, well-footed person sitting in New York, but like the whole idea is that
for everyone,
it has to be for everyone. This is a metaverse for everyone, but that's not enough. Now that you provided the tech, you need to provide a reason for them to come back. Because look at every AAA game, right? So you look at the PlayStation 5, you look at the PlayStation 4, every console cycle, it's not actually grown until a killer game is there. Yeah. That's why VR hasn't taken off. There is no killer app. There's been no killer app. Short of Alex on the Steam, there's been no killer app for virtual for VR, but there has been for the PS5 and the 4 and the 3 and the 2, and with the Saturns and the Dreamcasts and all of these things, there's always a killer app. And so we need to have the killer USP for Metaverse, and it will surface, but we got to allow all these games publishers to come in. Yeah. And one of them is going to make it the killer Metaverse app, killer Metaverse product, and we want that to be in virtual.
Okay. Well, no, in my conversation with Ash when he was over here, sorry man, we touched upon games, And his main point as well, that we want to be an inclusive metaverse, that even if you don't have land, you can come in and play those games.
Yeah, and that's the point, and maybe I didn't make it well enough, was that you should come in to play the games, right? If you've got land, you'll have some extra benefits, right? You'll be able to do things like, maybe because you own land and you have a certain amount of resource, you can buy a pass only for a landowner that will allow you to remix.
There's an extra track alone for that landowners themselves.
Remix a game, provide a perk, but people should come into the metaverse
just to play
and use the metaverse, not because they're a landowner. The landowner will bring you a world of benefits. Yeah, but I should want to come anyway. Yeah, because let's take any metaverse. Yeah, let's say you've got hundreds of thousands of plots in a metaverse, and you eventually sell all of them. You need millions of users to make a working product. Even if you look at Second Life, right? That's been around forever. It's a clunky PC, arguably the first metaverse, right? Yeah. And even today, it's acquiring 250,000 users a month. Compare that to every other metaverse, it's tens of thousands. Yeah. Right? Wow. And yet all the focus is over here. When they're acquiring that many, we got to be those guys. Yeah. We got to be acquiring that level of users, and that comes through not being all about the landowners. Our landowners are going to just be the VIPs of the world. Yeah. But there should be reasons for everyone to come in. It's got to be the everyman. I mean, that's why we've done it. Yeah. You should be able to use it on a $30 phone, and you've got no income and still have a great time in the metaverse. If it's playing
democratizing the metaverse, I love it.
You know, it has to be. It has to be democratized. I mean, we've always said this, right? That all of the people who run Virtua, all of us were at a point in our lives where we didn't need to do something else. We were all comfortable and we didn't need to do it. We did it for the love of doing it. Yeah. All of us came back in. Even Gary was like, he retired.
Yeah, he came back,
He came back. And then he was meant to be in for like 6 months, but he's stayed in for years because he loved it. I literally had to say, Gary, for God's sake, you're going to give yourself a heart attack. You work. He was at his desk 24/7, wasn't he? Whenever you pinged, Gary was there, right? And we said, just take a step back and enjoy your grandchildren, enjoy your time, because you're going to give yourself a heart attack, you know? It's an emergency. No, it's not an emergency.
No. Oh, I'm Gary. Man, dude, I think we've run out of time.
That's beautiful. Wait. Before we go, one of the things we were talking about earlier on today was about we've made a slight tweak in terms of payment for the land. Do you want to just talk about that?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Nice one.
Yeah. So the whole point here is that when we were doing the land sale, TVK, very important. Use that as a payment method. But now the more projects we've spoken to and looking at the market, we think, you know what, we should offer as little friction as possible. And so we're going to do ETH and TVK from day one to buy. But if you pay with TVK, you're getting it at a reduced rate. So if you have TVK, part of the utility will be that you will get discounted rate on your land, more so than if you pay the flat rate on Ethereum. So the idea is that paying both, but if you pay in TVK, the benefit is that you'll get it cheaper.
Savings.
Just go and bridge your Ethereum and go just go and sell your Ethereum and buy TVK. And Binance are also providing us a referral link as well. So basically Binance want people to be driven towards this as well. You can come buy your TVK at Binance and go do it that way. And, you know, it's going to be very interesting for us.
Good one, man.
But
good one.
It's going to be a big one. And also the other exciting thing is that hopefully, if it's approved in time, we'll be doing the first ever metaverse land sale on mobile, which is super exciting as well. So those are two.
Do you want to touch upon that for a minute? What exactly in the metaverse can we say?
It'll be condos in the metaverse.
Be condos, yeah.
Be
condos in the metaverse, yeah.
On mobile phone, on iOS, no one's done that before. So that's going to be really, really interesting.
Beautiful. Before we go, I've got one burning question for you. We've talked about gaming metaverse. We've talked about you want to have 100 games on Virtua next year within the metaverse. 1,000. My question to you is, 5 years from now, where do you see Virtua? What's the long-term vision for everybody? Share the long-term vision for everybody.
Basically, it just should be on everyone's. You talk about metaverse, we should be synonymous with metaverse. You know, and I've always said that a metaverse isn't one place. It's you know, people just say, oh, this is the metaverse and this is. That's just, in my mind, that's crap, right? It's this one internet. One internet has got an Amazon ecosystem in there. You've got Google ecosystem in there, Microsoft ecosystem, independent Linux servers running everywhere. But it's one internet, and there's going to be one metaverse. which will be multiple metaverses connected together. It's the evolution of the internet.
Yeah.
And we'll be a part of it, but we'll be viewed as one part of the ecosystem. But I want it to be on everyone's tongue. And I want it to be the coolest, best one out there, because we have got more that we're going to do. You know, we're talking about gaming, but we're doing loads of impact stuff. You know, there's stuff we're going to be rolling out next year, which is like education, right? And mental health stuff. That is all part of our CSR program. In fact, in Dubai, we've just signed up the first school that has got an equivalent school sitting in Nepal, and the children in Nepal are going to be able to, on their little phones, have the same classes from the teachers in Dubai on their phones. And it's a completely free CSR thing.
Wow.
So, and that sort of stuff is the stuff that I want to be known for in the future, and what I want Verge to be known as. It's going to be doing so many cool things for so many people. Altruism is at the core of how we all operate. But you have to bring users in, and you have to make the company support itself. You've got to make the company monetize, because that's just running a company. But I want people in 5 years' time to think, this is the best place you could be in the metaverse. It's the safest place, the most engaging place, and the place that is making the most positive impact. Now, that's what I'd like. That's
great. I love that.
That's beautiful, man.
Thank you.
I think it's also a perfect time to end it. Right?
It's been a pleasure.
That's right.
Man, this is really good, man. Everyone. Big J, Jawad Ashraf. It's a wrap. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks.
Bye,
Thank
Pierre.
you.
Bye.